Good evening again, YouTube. She got J Crew to you coming at you with my second video here this evening. Doing another video here as I promised. This here on Super Bowl Sunday, February 13th, 2020. We're just around 20 minutes away from seeing the kickoff of Super Bowl between the Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. But I want to try to squeeze in another video before we get started with the Super Bowl. As you can see on the screen, this video is in regard to some news that came through this week that initially made me feel really good. For one, Cortazar Calvin Brodus, better known by his stage name was Snoop Dogg, who's the famous rapper who's been rapping pretty much for like what's this now 3 decades. Snoop has been rapping, off and on. He's been an actor, he's been a guy who's done some stuff with Martha Stewart here and there, cooking shows for whatever reason. But Snoop Dogg has been around for a while. He turned 50 years old back in October. I think his birthday was October 20th, 1971. So he turned 50 years old. And I thought this news was very ironic. And it's almost like poetic just to me to hear him acquire Death Row Records. When I first got news of this, it really excited me. Because I'm thinking this is Snoop Dogg taking control of something that he probably felt like he should have had control of way back then. For people who don't know, and I'm gonna try to be as quick with his history as I can, was that Snoop Dogg was a guy from Long Beach, California, born and raised there, around gang culture, claimed to been a part of Rolling 20s Crips in terms of being a drug dealer for him. Maybe towards the end of his high school years and in his early adulthood years, and end up going to jail, end up kind of getting around Dr. Dre's younger brother, Warren G., who helped Snoop get hooked up with Death Row, which was established in the early 90s, 91, 92. As we all know, Snoop released 2 albums on Death Row, from what I remember. Doggy Style, which came out in 93, and I think in late 96, at the end of 96, they came out with Dog Father. Doggy Style was a groundbreaking album. I think they were triple platinum at the time, and it just made Snoop an immediate superstar. People could see that he really could spit high quality lyrics over hard beats produced by Dr. Dre and Daz and other producers at Death Row, and he just really just kind of was an instant level superstar. And for me, back then, obviously, Snoop was on a compilation album, really was released by Dr. Dre called The Chronic, not long before Doggy Style, and I think 92 was when that came out. And he had an instant charisma about himself. He was a brother, like he was talk gangster stuff. But if you were watching him, he was more laid back kind of player like if you were watching him. But as we know, he went through a lot of ups and downs at Death Row. He had a murder trial that he eventually beat the charges on, along with his bodyguard McKinley Lee, in which another L.A. gang member, Philip Walter Marion, was murdered in some sort of conflict that took place between Snoop, McKinley Lee, and some of his entourage back in California. Either way, Snoop later in '96 released Dog Father not long after Tupac died, and released one of his last albums during while he not long after he died, called Machiavelli, as we all remember. And Dog Father just was kind of weak to me. I did not like that album. Snoop really kind of it just seemed like the content wasn't there. That spark that made you like him wasn't there. It's like his raps really were not as mesmerizing, and for lack of a better term, the album just kind of sucked. And I just really wasn't into the Dog Father like that. I think Snoop may have been on a few more songs here and there on Death Row, but maybe a few years later, Snoop officially left Death Row, and he got his contract. And I think really what happened is that Death Row CEO Suge Knight sold his contract to Master P of No Limit Records, based out of New Orleans, for maybe $2.5 million. Master P had to pay Suge Knight to get Snoop out of his contract. Snoop released maybe like 2 or 3 albums on No Limit. He started doing them straight to video DVDs and stuff like that. The albums were okay. They had nice singles here and there, but it really still wasn't what we heard on Doggy Style. It was just meant to keep Snoop's career alive and for him to have a way to be an artist and make money while he was no longer affiliated with Death Row. Either way, Snoop's career continued like in the 2000s, even when he got off of No Limit Records. He continued to make songs. And and while nothing ever came close to the success of Doggy Style, Snoop would have singles here and there. He began to stretch his rings in terms of acting. We saw him in what, Soul Plane? What was that, like in the mid 2000s? Maybe a few years before that, he was in that movie Baby Boy with Tyrese. And so he's been in movies, and oddly enough, he did like little cooking shows with Martha Stewart, which I thought was just flat out hilarious. I have no idea really where that came from in terms of why he started doing that. But Snoop began to indulge in stuff like that. Maybe it just was an effort to commercialize himself. Either way, Snoop, was able to sort of flourish as more as like a entertainment icon rather than just a rapper, because he was doing all this stuff. I think it made us kind of look at Snoop Dogg different. He was always that hood dude that was cool and funny, but it made you look at him in a softer way. I think Snoop has done like his own. He done like his own YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff like that. He's had all kind of street characters and rappers on there. But with Snoop, he's just kind of flourished, and he's in middle age now, so you kind of look at him differently. And leading up to all that, this week, news was dropped that really came out of nowhere. Let me kind of get to the article down here. This amazed me. They said that Snoop had purchased, the rights to own Death Row Records. Let me say this. I really just flicked over to this article, so I don't know if it's within this article. They didn't say what percentage he owns of Death Row. So let me throw that out there. They didn't say whether he was the sole owner, whether he has half ownership, 75% ownership, 25% ownership. That was never stated. And so I think that'll be something that hopefully it'll come out later. But I thought this was real poetic justice. Snoop Dogg is one of the people that helped make that label. When you think of Death Row Records, you think of them early Snoop records on the Chronic and Doggy Style. He helped blow that record label up. And this is a hell of a business move by him. I don't know if he'll ever be able to recreate that magic that Death Row had. Of course, the former CEO, Suge Knight, he lost it. I think Death Row probably like in different court proceedings because he really couldn't stop being a thug like that. Snoop, we know Suge Knight had numerous court cases that finally led to an unfortunate court case that happened within the last 5 to 7 years where he ran over a couple of guys, killing one of them, which is very, very unfortunate and sad. But either way, he lost Death Row Records, and now Snoop bought it from some company I've never heard of. I'm trying to find the name of it. It's like MK something. And let me see if I can find this. Well, it don't say the name of the company in this article. I think it was like MKNT or something like that. He bought it from some company that you've never heard of. And I think that was just kind of ironic. But it was a beautiful thing to hear about because, like I said, you don't see artists making moves like this. And I think in the back of Snoop's mind, he always wished that he could have done something like that, given he's one of the guys that helped make that label. And so, it's very, very ironic. And they have it here in the first sentence of this other article I put up. It said, Snoop Dogg acquiring Death Row Records from Blackstone investment firm MNRK Music Group. I have no idea who that is, but he bought it from them. But I just thought it was ironic that Snoop was able to pull that off. Because I think that's what a lot of artists should pull, or that they should try to reach towards as they get older. He's 50 years old, I just said several minutes ago. And I think that's a move that Snoop should have looked to have made. and to hear the fact that he has made this, it really kind of warms my heart a little bit. But just like he acquired Death Row Records, unfortunately, this week was both great for Snoop and somewhat disappointing. Ironically, I haven't even mentioned this. He's about to perform on a halftime show here in a little bit at halftime with Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and others in this year's Super Bowl over there in L.A. County. I think it's in Inglewood, California. He's about to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. And so, but what else, even though those two things are good for him this week, unfortunately, just like he acquired Death Row Records, Snoop acquired a sexual assault case from some lady. And this is real suspicious to me. When I read this news, I was immediately suspicious. When I saw this, I'm thinking to myself, it was almost like, from what I remember, it was on the same day that he announced that he had bought Death Row. Some random lady came out and said, well, him and that pimp dude, Bishop Don Magic One, who's been prevalent in black culture for the past couple of decades, due to that HBO series Pimps Up, Hold Down, has, she came out and accused both Bishop Don Magic One and Snoop Dogg of basically just sexually assaulting her in May 2013. That's the main reason why this is very suspect to me. Even though it's very, very unfortunate that happened, or that she says this so-called happened. If it did happen, I just can't believe this right now. I think it just kind of sucks to hear about this right now, when it happened so many years ago. Like I said, for any woman who's been sexually assaulted, literally, and they've had it happen to them, I would like to share my feelings of sorrow for you all and say that should not be taken lightly. But I just think it's very, very odd that we're hearing about this right now when Snoop is kind of riding high in the spotlight. I think it mentioned in this article that there were negotiations that took place behind the scenes where she was trying to work something out. I think both Bishop Don Major One and Snoop Dogg, but I guess they broke down and she waited till I guess Snoop was in the spotlight to come out and say something. I think she so-called left a concert with Bishop Don Magic One and Snoop and somehow made it back to I think Don Magic One's house. She claimed she was sexually assaulted or something. You can see the title of the article, just like I had displayed it like a half a minute ago. You can go look at it for yourself. But it's just very, very strange to hear about this right now. And I think it's bizarre. And, it's kind of put a damper on what I think is a great thing for Snoop Dogg and hip-hop culture. We'll just have to see how that plays out, man. But hopefully we'll be able to, find out how legitimate this is, like in the next few weeks to months. I'm gonna get ready to watch Super Bowl now, so I'm gonna cut this microphone off for a little while. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you after the game. She got J. Crew to you, saying happy Super Bowl Sunday. Y'all be easy. If you like the content, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. Thank you.